Or I run up in your bank just for recreation, dedication, hard work, plus patience. To some more of my sacrifice, I'm done waiting. Told you that I wasn't playing. Now you hear what I've been saying. Dedication.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Hope everybody's having a blessed morning. And top of the morning to everyone. Welcome to another episode of That Breakdown, X's and O's with Nate Ness. Now, if we thought week 1 in the NFL was amazing, week 2 was just an encore of last week. We got some great games. Great competition. You know, we had some games where it was just like, damn, how'd that happen? But you know what? In essence, anything can happen on any given Sunday. You know, you may predict a team to win. They might go out there and lay an egg. So let's go ahead and break down week 2. All right. We're heading to the AFC East. We're going up to the Meadowlands in New York where the Jets are hosting the AFC rival, the New England Patriots. Now, this game was actually really head-scratching because rookie quarterback Zach Wilson versus Bill Belichick. Now, history shows us that Bill Belichick against rookie quarterbacks is not good for rookie quarterbacks, and it proved to be right. This game was, how can I put it? This was Zach Wilson's welcome to the NFL game. You know, he looked bad. I don't want to say nothing disrespectful. He looked bad. You know, Zach Wilson became the first quarterback in 2 decades, since 1991, yes, 20 NFL seasons, to throw 2 interceptions on his first 2 passes. How is that heard of? And overall, this game for Coach Saleh and the Jets, this is one of those games where, hey, we ain't gonna even look at the film. We gonna burn it, bury it. We're gonna go on to our next opponent. You know, so it wasn't nothing that was just so amazing. The Patriots defense played great. Mac Jones, rookie quarterback, he didn't really have to do much. You know, he managed the game. He went 22 for 30 for 186 yards. So he really managed the game and didn't do anything to jeopardize the game. The Patriots got back to what they wanted to do. So if you really watch the game of football, New England, and knowing Coach Bill Belichick, he wants to run the ball. He wants to control the clock. Every team wants to run it and control the clock, you know what, and really wear a defense down. He got great production from his running backs. Damian Harris, who had 16 carries for 62 yards and 1 touchdown, and James White, 5 carries for 20 yards and 1 touchdown. But this was about the Patriot defense. The Patriot defense showed up in a big way, recording 4 turnovers. J.C. Jackson had 2 interceptions, Devin McCourty had 1, and Adrian Phillips had another interception. The Patriots win this game 25-6. All right, let's head south. All right, where the Jaguars play host to the Broncos. Now, if we're going to notice anything, Teddy Bridgewater, we gotta address something. Teddy Bridgewater has looked nothing short of spectacular. I mean, very efficient, looking very comfortable in the pocket. It's like he's found a fountain of youth. Even though he's not old, he's young, but he's found, he really has found himself in this Broncos offense and just really learn how to become a better passer, a better quarterback, and a better leader. He was very efficient yesterday, going 26 for 34 for 328 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, I know we only 2 games in the season to say all of these things, but he's looked amazing, and we gotta recognize greatness. We gotta recognize good play, great play calling. Great pocket presence. He's going through all his reads and his progressions. He's not doing anything or trying to win the game all in one play. He's letting the game come to him, and he's having success. And it's just amazing. It's just amazing. Now, this was a breakout game for the Bronco wide receiver, Courtland Sutton. Now, he had 9 receptions for 159 yards. This guy was all over the field. He obviously was Teddy Bridgewater's favorite target, and he was getting it done all 4 quarters of the game. Now, the Broncos defense had a good showing too, carrying on from the week before. They forced 2 turnovers. Kareem Jackson and rookie Patrick Surtain, the second, both had interceptions. Patrick Surtain's interception was just textbook. It was textbook, teachable, just teachable technique, everything. It was perfect. The only negative Denver had is the penalties. Now, again, this right here, penalties can dictate a game. Now, these are dumb negative plays. You can't expect to win games when you commit negative plays. And they got to get the penalties cleaned up. They had 10 penalties for 101 yards. That's 101 negative yards. You got to get that cleaned up. Now, on the other side, the Jaguars, they had trouble really getting into an offensive motion, an offensive rhythm. They had just 189 yards of total offense. Now, do we say that's a compliment to the Broncos defense because the Broncos defense is good? Or do we say that it's a compliment or it's just the Jaguars are not really, they're trying to find their way? I think it's a combination of both because the Broncos defense is actually rather good. And then on the other side, the Jaguars, they're still trying to find their identity. They're trying to find playmakers that they can trust. Somebody that Trevor Lawrence can develop a relationship and a rapport with to where, hey, the season can progress and, they can get better and better each week. He's going through normal rookie struggles and ups and downs. But it's up to Urban Meyer and his staff to really get the offense and get the team together and going in the right directions. The Broncos win this game 23-13. All right, let's head to my old stomping grounds. Oh, man, Miami, Hard Rock Stadium. Oh, and this was a lopsided game. This was a lopsided game. You knew the Bills, who were going to come into town for an AFC East division game. The Bills were going to come in there with a sense of urgency with business. They're going to be all business. They dropped their opening week game to the Pittsburgh Steelers in heartbreaking fashion. So, Josh Allen, Coach Sean McDermott, and Josh Allen and that Bills team, they were going to come in this is a AFC East game, and we need to go ahead and get back on track. The Bills came in looking pretty decent. Josh Allen didn't really have no crazy numbers, but he did produce. He went 17 for 33 for 179 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. But the real work came from the running game. The Bills actually ran the ball very, very well against a Miami defense who was normally disciplined and just fundamentally sound, technical sound, and just they're normally stout and stingy. Devin Singletary had 13 carries for 82 yards and 1 touchdown, and Zach Moss had 8 carries for 26 yards and 1 touchdown. The Buffalo defense had a great showing too, forcing 6 sacks and 3 turnovers, 1 interception and 2 fumble recoveries. Now, this game pretty much was like, what Coach Flores, like Coach Saleh, you do not want to watch the film because you're going to see a lot of, frustrating plays. You're going to see a team in which that you don't even know who this team is that's on the field because that's not the team that you coach. So they're going to burn that tape and look forward to next week. Tua was knocked out pretty early with a rib injury. He took a nasty shot, but Jacoby Brissett came in and it really wasn't much success. He came in 24 for 40, 169 yards and 1 interception. It was just really an often horrible showing for the Dolphins, my old team, and it was hurtful to see that. But I'm quite sure they're going to get all the mistakes and all the errors corrected, and next week hopefully they see something better. Buffalo took this game in shutout fashion, 35-0. All right, now we're going to head northeast to the city of brotherly love, where the Eagles are hosting the 49ers. Now, the Eagles are coming off of a very impressive yet dominating win against the Atlanta Falcons. And the 49ers are coming off of, a pretty decent victory against the Detroit Lions. Jimmy G, he had some okay numbers, 22 for 30, 189 yards, 1 touchdown. And the San Fran offense, it was pretty quiet. This was a low-scoring affair. This game was about the defenses and what defense showed up. Jalen Hurts was relatively quiet as well on the other side of the ball, 12 for 23, 190 yards. He was more effective running the ball because he carried the ball 10 times for 82 yards and 1 touchdown. But it wasn't enough. San Fran came into town, into the brotherly love state or city, and got the win, 17-11. All right. This one right here was the game I was so excited for. Well, one of the games I was excited for. So we're going to head to Lucas Oil Stadium, where Carson Wentz and company are hosting the LA Rams. Now, if you guys know anything, Carson Wentz has a bad history against the Rams. For some odd reason, he gets hurt whenever he plays the Rams. Like, whenever he plays the LA Rams, Carson Wentz gets hurt. So, the Rams coming into town off a big win. A great debut for Matthew Stafford, who looked amazing. This was really an interesting game because the Rams, they're showing on offense. Matthew Stafford had 19 for 30, 278 yards. It was a decent showing, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. But the player of the game, in my opinion, was Cooper Kupp, who happens to be on my fantasy. Man, he had a big boy game. 9 receptions, 163 yards, and 2 touchdowns. on 11 targets. That's crazy. That he you know what? It's early in the season, but you can tell that him and Matthew Stafford, they got something. They got chemistry. He's becoming Matthew Stafford's safety blanket, and you love it. As the season progresses, you just hope that everybody gets better and better. And the Rams defense is getting better. The Rams defense, you expect that because the big names that they have, the caliber of defense they have a Super Bowl winning defense. So you expect the Rams defense to get better and better each week. They forced 2 turnovers, 2 interceptions, one by Jalen Ramsey and the other one by Troy Reader. And the Colts played, they played pretty well. I don't want to take anything away from the Colts. They played very, very well. This was a close game. Carson Wentz went 20 for 31, 247 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. But he left the game in the fourth quarter after an injury. Michael Pittman was a bright spot in the receiving game, having 8 receptions for 123 yards. And he was just making plays all over the field. He was finding the open spots, sitting in the windows of the zone, and just really, taking advantage of the opportunity. But the Rams defense bent, but it didn't break. They take the W, 27-24. All right. We got to go to a place where, whenever I played there, it was just like, yeah, we heading to Heinz Field. And them terrible towel-swinging Pittsburgh Steelers and their fans. Oh, man. The Raiders came into town. Now, Derek Carr was still having that mojo from that crazy Monday night victory over the Baltimore Ravens. And, man, this dude's mojo is still there. He looked good throughout the whole day. It was another dominant showing for Derek Carr, who went 28 for 37 for 382 yards and 1 touchdown. 2 touchdowns, no interception. But he got a big game from wide receiver Henry Ruggs, who finished the game with 5 receptions and 113 yards. Now, the Steelers played a pretty solid game overall. Pretty solid. I mean, it wasn't nothing like, that was too horrible. I mean, they had opportunities where they could win the game. Big Ben went 27 for 40 for 295 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 interception. The interception is the only knock, but it kind of wasn't his fault because he was trying to make a play, trying to escape a sack, and the receiver actually stopped on the route. And you know what? You can't really do that. You can't leave your quarterback out to dry. But it goes down as an interception regardless. Deontay Johnson, on the other hand, he had a nice showing. He had 9 receptions for 105 yards. Defensively, both T.J. Watt and Melvin Ingram had sacks, but yet it wasn't enough. T.J. Watt later left the game with a groin injury, so hopefully everything is okay with him. But the Raiders come into town and steal this one, 26-17. All right. Time to make our way to Soldier Field. Oh, yeah. The Chicago Bears take on the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, Chicago is one of my favorite places. They got some great food. And the stadium, that's when you think of the Bears, you think of the 85 Bears, that defense, and just, one of arguably the greatest defenses that ever played in the game. So Soldier Field has a lot of history and all that. Man, this game in particular, this game was all about the Bears getting back to what the Bears are known for, and that's defense. The Bears scored on defense, got 4 sacks and 3 interceptions. Andy Dalton, looked good before he was knocked out the game with a knee injury in the first half. He went 9 for 11 for 56 yards and 1 touchdown. He was finding his groove with the receivers and basically with the play calling. Matt Nagy had, a pretty decent plan, and it was looking very, very good. Then Justin Fields comes in. Now, this was the big thing. What was we going to see from Justin Fields? He really didn't do much. He went 6 for 13 for 60 yards and had 1 interception. It was a misread, but it's okay. It's expected for young rookie quarterbacks. I mean, they got to learn the game. They got to learn the nuances of the game and whatnot. Joe Burrow wasn't sharp at all on the other side. He looked very flustered, couldn't really, find a rhythm with his targets. He went 19 for 30 for 207 yards, 2 touchdowns, but 3 big turnovers. Both T. Higgins and Jamar Chase had receiving touchdowns. Yet this game was about the Bears. The Bears and that defense having a coming out party and a dominant showing. The Bears win this close one, 20-17. All right. Now to First Energy Stadium. The Browns are hosting former Brown Tyrod Taylor and the Houston Texans. Now, Tyrod had a really good game. He looked good, continuing his play from week 1. 10 and 11 for 125 yards before he got hurt. He hurt his hamstring. Hopefully it's not too severe. Hopefully he can hurry up and come back. But, he had a decent game. David Mills comes in, and I must say, when you bring in when the second string quarterback comes in, the big thing is how is he going to gel with the first team offense, because they don't really get reps with the first team offense. But I must say, Davis Mills, he looked okay. He went 8 for 18 for 102 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Now, Brandon Cooks had a really solid showing, 9 receptions for 78 yards and 1 touchdown. And Philip Lindsay had 1 reception for 22 yards and 1 touchdown. But they made plays in the passing game, and that's what this game is about, making plays. Who's going to make the most plays when it counts? Baker Mayfield accounted for 2 touchdowns on the other side. Passing 19 for 21, 213 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and rushing 1 TD. But if you know the Cleveland Browns, the strength of the Cleveland Browns is the running game. When Cleveland can run the ball, oh my God. And it's power football. This is football from the 90s and the 80s. I'm going to line up 2 backs, 21 personnel, and we're going to run it down your throat. And they looked really, really good. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt rushed for a combined 146 yards on 24 carries and 1 TD. Chubb had 11 carries for 91 yards and 1 touchdown, and Hunt 13 for 51. The Browns got 3 rushing TDs yesterday, and they controlled the pace of the game. If we control the pace of the game, it's going to be a long game for the defense, because it's like a boxer. Boxer throwing those body blows, and then slowly throughout the boxing match, it wears the boxer down, and then you come in with the big shot. That's Cleveland's MO, and if they can actually really execute that MO, they're going to be a dangerous team. They win this game 31-21. All right. Oh, man, heading to Charlotte. Another team I played for. Head to Bank of America Stadium. The Saints come in off a dominant performance against a Green Bay Packers team. And this is an NFC South division game. This is rivalry. And that's one of the great things you love about these division games, is rivalry between these teams. Players know each other. Hey, we may shake hands before the game. Hell, we might not even shake hands before the game. But when that whistle blows, hey, we going at it. So, Jameis was the talk coming into this game. He went 14 for 20, 148 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. That was the talk going into this game. Jameis Winston, was he going to be able to continue that play? Jameis looked like Jameis. He went 11 for 22 for 111 yards and 2 interceptions. He made some ill-advised throws, and it came back to bite him in the butt. Some of the throws is just like, man, what are you? I'm a DB. And I'm like, no, that's your first progression over there. No, why are you throwing it? You can't. Jameis doesn't need to try to win the game or try to make the big play. Let's take the small plays right now, and they're going to equate to the big plays. He has to get that under his belt, because you cannot cause this many turnovers and expect to win. He did carry the ball 3 times for 19 yards and rush a TD. And the Saints looked completely bad on offense. Like, this game couldn't get no drives. They couldn't get no drives, no rhythm, couldn't sustain nothing. And it was just a horrible game. Now, the Panthers, on the other hand, controlled the game from the opening quarter. Sam Darnold went 26 for 38 for 305 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. It's a continuation from the good showing that he had last week against his old team, the Jets. Now, I'm going to double down right now. I'm going to double down on my statement. Christian McCaffrey, run CMC, is that guy. This guy, he's a true difference maker. Like, that, there's no way to just, he is a true difference maker. Players like him, Alvin Kamara, you game plan. When you game plan on offense, you game plan, hey, we're going to limit him, because they're going to get the ball to him in any way, shape, or form. He had another really great showing, 137 yards of all-purpose, 72 rushing, and 65 receiving, and 1 TD. DJ Moore and Brandon Zylstra both had receiving TDs, and Carolina's defense had a good showing, 4 sacks and 2 interceptions. Justin Burris and J.C. Horn made big picks. The Panthers take an important division win, 26-27. All right, let's head down to Phoenix. Man, okay. I love watching the Cardinals play. The Cardinals play host to the Minnesota Vikings. I love watching Kyler Murray play. This guy, this game in itself has so much star power. So much star power on both sides, on both teams. The Vikings were looking for a way to get back on track. They had a solid performance last week, but couldn't come up with the W. trying to come into this week with another opportunity against a good Cardinal team that's coming off a dominant victory over the Tennessee Titans. Kirk Cousins, he looked very efficient. He was sharp, 22 for 32, 244 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Dalvin Cook, though, showed up to the party in a big way, rushing for 22 carries and 131 yards. That's 6 yards a pop. Dalvin Cook is trying to get into midseason form already, but he looked good. The Minnesota defense played pretty well, too. They forced 2 turnovers and sacked Kyler Murray about 3 times. Yet it wasn't enough because Kyler Murray, man, he counted for 4 touchdowns. He threw 29 for 36 for 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, 5 carries for 31 yards, and 1 touchdown. But he did turn the ball over twice. And again, that's not a formula for winning right there. That's actually a formula for disaster. But they got the win. Rondale Williams had a great showing and a great receiving day yesterday. He had 7 receptions for 114 yards and 1 touchdown. And Max Williams had an amazing day too. 7 receptions for 94 yards. Now, this goes back to what I said. If you can get solid production from your receivers like that, that will not allow a D coordinator to just really single his coverage to DeAndre Hopkins, excuse me. He won't be able to double him. He's going to have to go ahead and play straight up because these guys are eating as well. But it was a good showing. Matt Prater, my old teammate in Detroit, he showed that he still got that foot. He boomed a 62-yard field goal just before halftime. The Vikings, though, they still had their chances to win. They drove down, and it came down to a last-second field goal that Greg Joseph missed. Oh, man, it's a heartbreaking one. The Cardinals pulled this one out, 34-33. All right, let's go ahead and head to Raymond Jones Stadium. Tom Brady, that's a bad man, the GOAT. And those Tampa Bay Buccaneers host the Atlanta Falcons. Now, I know what y'all thinking, the Atlanta Falcons. The score doesn't really show the game because there were parts of the game where it was very interesting, where you seen some fight from the Atlanta Falcons. And this is an NFC South division rivalry. Again, just like New Orleans and Carolina, another NFC South division game. And this was a good one. I was really, really impressed with Tom Brady. This guy is defying time. 44 and looking like he's 24. Man, he had an amazing game. 24 for 36 for 276 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Him and this offense, they just look amazing. They look so good. I mean, you can tell between Tom Brady, Byron Leftwich, and all the players that they're all on the same level. They're all have the same mindset. They just want to win, and they're playing some grade A football in the early stages of the game. And this was after a quiet week for Mike Evans. Mike Evans came big week 2. He came really, really big. I gotta give him his respect. 5 receptions for 72 yards and 2 touchdowns. Again, with this offense, it's one of those pick your poison type offense because they have so many weapons, receiving wise, and so many weapons with running backs. So you got to pick your poison. Chris Godwin got into the action as well, having 4 receptions for 62 yards and 1 touchdown. Gronk, I don't even know which way to put it. I don't even know how to classify it. Robert looked dominant. Now, he really only had about 4 receptions for 39 yards, but he had 2 touchdowns. He was dominant out there, and he was punking people left and right, And the Bucs defense, now they had a really rough showing in the opening week, but they got back to it. Now they play like the championship defense that you expect the Bucs to play like. They showed that a year ago when they won the Super Bowl. Now they got back to form. They forced 3 turnovers, 3 interceptions, 2 by Mike Edwards, which he returned both of them for touchdowns, and Shaq Barrett had an interception. Now, again, Atlanta, this game, tough game for Matt Ryan and company. Tough game for Matt. They had a bright spot in Cordell Patterson. He was just making plays. He was the energy. But they got to figure it out. Arthur Smith has to figure it out. He has to figure a way to get success. He has to figure a way to help his quarterback and help his team, help his offense. It's rough, but this is what coaches get paid for. So hopefully they can get their mistakes corrected, and hopefully it'll be a better showing next week. But Bucks take this game in dominating fashion, 48-25. All right, let's head to the hometown, LA. Oh, man. All right. SoFi Stadium, America's team, as they say, the Dallas Cowboys roll into town to take on the LA Chargers. Now, both the Chargers and the Cowboys are looking for wins, just to get on track. And the Cowboys, what they were hoping to do is to get back to basics. The Cowboys are a running team. Cowboys want to control the clock and then hit you with the play action and do that. And it's simple. They were able to get back to their normal running ways. Tony Pollard led the way on offense with 13 carries for 109 yards and 1 touchdown. And Ezekiel Elliott, 16 carries, 71 yards and 1 touchdown. Now, Dak had an amazing week 1, but he was relatively quiet this game. He went 27 for 237 yards and 1 interception. Now, let's put the onus right now. Let's put the spotlight on the Cowboys defense. The Cowboys defense hadn't done something in 7 seasons, and that's have multiple forced turnover games. Now remember, week before they had 3 forced turnovers. They had 2. So you can see that Dan Quinn is making strides with his defense. You can see they're like really going in the right direction. And if they can get this defense going in the right direction with that offense, they can really do whatever it is they want to. Justin Herbert, he had an off game. I mean, by his standards and his measure, he had an off game. He went 31 for 41 for 338 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Both Mike Williams, who had 7 receptions and 91 yards, 1 touchdown, and Keenan Allen, 4 receptions for 108 yards. They had good games. They made plays, but it wasn't enough. Greg Zuerlein and the Cowboys got the game-winning field goal, and they took this win 20-17. All right. Now, this was probably my second favorite game of the day. We got to head to Seattle and Lumen Stadium, where Russell Wilson, that high-flying Seahawk offense, played host to the Tennessee Titans. Now, this was a very exciting game, but a head-scratching and just a jaw-dropping game. You kind of knew that the Titans were going to come in with business. See, the week before they had a very, very mediocre, subpar showing. They let the Arizona Cardinals come in and just dominate them. And you knew that there was going to be business. And Coach Vrabel called out some of his players the week leading up to this game. So, guys were coming in there like, okay, we got to get it together. We got to go out there and we got to have a good showing. And handle business is what they did. Ryan Tannehill had a good game. 27 for 40 for 347 yards. And Julio Jones, yes, former Atlanta Falcons receiver Julio Jones, a lot of people wrote him off saying he wasn't, top 10, this, that, and the other. He's old, he's lost a step. He showed the world, he showed the NFL world that, hey, he's still one of the best receivers in the game. He had a great showing and just was looking very, very fluid. But the spotlight is not on Julio right now. Nah. Derrick Henry. Derrick, stiff arm, don't ever play what matches Henry. He was bottled up last week, and he took the challenge, the personal challenge of coming out there and really getting it going. Now, Tennessee, like Dallas, like Cleveland, they rely heavily on a running game. And they have a bell cow in Derrick Henry. They're going to go as far as he takes them. So he took the challenge and went out there and had a big boy game, rushing 35 times for 182 yards and just dominating the game. He just dominated the game with 3 rushing touchdowns. Now, other side of the ball, Russell Wilson, he had his normal Russell Wilson day. Efficient, exciting, confident, smart plays, great pocket presence. He went 22 for 31 and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He looked good. Tyler Lockett, 8 receptions for 178 yards and a big touchdown. Now, Freddie Swain was big too. Showed up and showed up big. 5 receptions for 95 yards, 1 touchdown. But it was a quiet night for Chris Carson. I mean, the running game for Seattle was relatively quiet. He had 13 carries for 31 yards, but he did punch in 2 touchdowns on the ground for Seattle. But you know what? The Titans, they battled, scoring 16 points in the fourth quarter and forcing the game into overtime. Now, this was really sloppy on Seattle's part because Seattle had committed 10 penalties for 100 yards. Again, you can't win when you doing stuff like that. You shooting yourself in the foot. So you know what? They gotta get that cleaned up because those penalties proved costly. And Tennessee was able to come back, win the game off a Randy Bullock field goal in overtime, 33-30. All right. Now, let's get to it. Now, I got to stand up for this one. I got to stand up. This was the game, Sunday Night Football. Now, if you wanna have a game, an ending game, that just has you pulling your hair out or have you glued to the TV, this was the game right here. This was the game right here. All right, let's get to it. All right, Sunday Night Football. This is a match between the two most dynamic quarterbacks in the NFL. Yeah, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes. Oh, man. This was a game. It was billed as an amazing game. It lived up to its billing. Oh, it lived up. It was exciting. It was competitive. It was gritty. It was big plays. Big plays and just play after play. Like who wants it more? And to be honest with you, the game didn't start off the way Lamar Jackson wanted to. You know, he threw a pick six to Tyrann Mathieu, who is in his first game back off the COVID list. And Kansas City missed the Honey Badger. But, you know, he threw a pick six. Then another series, he throws another interception in coverage that he shouldn't have threw to guess who? Tyrann Mathieu. But that didn't deter him. That didn't really, get him down. Lamar had a great night, 18 for 26, 239 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and carried the ball 16 times, 107 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Now, the Ravens, they dominated KC in the running game, rushing for 271 yards. You can't expect to win if you're allowing the opposing team to have numbers like that and control the clock. So I'm looking for Kansas City to really correct that part right there on their rush defense. But Hollywood Brown, man, great showing. 5 receptions, 113 yards, and a sweet touchdown. And the Ravens forced 2 big turnovers. And one of them was really late in the game, and it proved to be like, the big play of the game. One of the 2 big plays of the game. The fumble on that play, which changed the whole dynamic, was by, I don't want to butcher his name. I'm gonna just say Odafe Owe. He's a DN for the Ravens, and he punched the ball out of Clyde Edwards-Hilaire's arms, and then wait a minute, he recovered it as well. Man, that play right there, we're gonna come back to that. We're gonna come back to that. But let's go on to the other side of the ball. Kansas City, they look pretty good. I gotta give Patrick Mahomes, his respect. He had a good night. 24 for 31, 343 yards. 3 TDs, 1 interception, through an ill-advised interception, Tavon Young. Travis Kelce, another big night, 7 receptions, 109 yards. He's really, and 1 touchdown, he's really, showing just, again, he's a big play guy. He is a tight end by, position, but he's a guy that makes plays. And you got to love it. You got to appreciate it. Both Byron Pringle and Demarcus Robinson had TDs that night and looked good. But let's go back to this fumble. Let's go back to the fumble. We got to go to the 4th quarter where Odafe Owe forced a fumble on Clyde Edwards-Hilaire. Now, he forced a fumble, and Kansas City had to literally, there was 1 minute and 20-something seconds left, 1 minute and 22 seconds left of the game. They had to really go ahead and try to get the ball back. Now, that was a big play. That was a big play. They forced it down, and it came down to 4th and 1. Now, this takes some balls right here. John Harbaugh goes for it on 4th and 1. This was the big play. Lamar may have had a sloppy game, but this was the play that really defined the game, defined the Ravens. They just wouldn't give up. They had so much fight, so much grit, and it was a great game. Lamar converts the big 4th and 1 to really seal the game because he knew you give the ball back to Patrick Mahomes, they only need about 10 seconds and they can score. That offense is that high flying and that high power. But Lamar knew, and he was determined. He was determined. You can even see it in his post game. He was determined to win this game. And this was a great game, a great game. KC falls to the Ravens, 36-35. Man, all right now. Got to give y'all my final thoughts. Another solid week of football. Another solid, amazing week. You know, guys, you guys have to really take pride in preparation. Take pride in the week, taking care of your bodies and doing the necessary things to make sure you're ready for the game. You know, preparation is key. Situational football is key. Putting yourself in a position to where, you know what, you're helping your team, not shooting your team in the foot. And this week was opportunities for where you see teams or players shooting themselves in the foot and not helping the team. But there's also opportunities where, you know what, hey, guys got to get back in that film room. Hey, Zach Wilson, this is I know you're a rookie. Trevor Lawrence, you're a rookie. Hey, make sure you're getting into that film room. Get extra film time. It's nothing wrong with like really analyzing the game and breaking it down, because those opportunities are going to present themselves. You got to be able to produce and continue to get better week in and week out. This is another great, amazing week, and I'm just so excited for Monday Night Football tonight. So I pray that everybody has a great day. Thank you guys for your time and your patience. Thank you for spending another day with me. And until we meet again, hey, this is The Breakdown. X's and O's with Nate Ness. Appreciate y'all.